All right, let's dive into ancient Egypt,
Okay.
but not just any pharaoh. We're talking Cleopatra VII.
Yeah.
We're going way beyond those Hollywood epics,
Right.
using encyclopedia entries and some really cool historical articles to kind of unpack her political genius,
Hmm.
her impact on history,
Yeah.
and why she's still so fascinating today.
It's pretty amazing.
So-
Before we even get to all those legendary romances,
Yeah.
there's this surprising twist
Yeah.
to Cleopatra's story that most people don't realize.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing that she wasn't actually Egyptian by blood.
It's crazy.
It's like finding out the Queen of England is secretly from Mars or something.
Yeah. It definitely throws a wrench into our assumptions. Right?
Yeah.
She was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a line descended from one of Alexander the Great's generals.
Oh, wow.
So imagine wielding the power of the pharaohs, but you have Macedonian ancestry.
Right.
It makes you think about how power and identity were intertwined back then.
So she's ruling a kingdom with a totally different heritage. Did that ever cause any tension?
Oh, you can bet it did.
Yeah.
Cleopatra's reign was full of power struggles.
Oh, wow.
Starting with her own family,
Oh.
she had to navigate co-regencies with her brothers,
Oh, really?
Ptolemy the 13th and 14th,
Okay.
like Game of Thrones, but with pyramids and Nile cruises.
Wow. That's intense. It sounds like she was thrown into the political deep end pretty early. Didn't one of these power struggles actually force her out of Egypt?
Exactly.
Hmm.
She was forced to flee,
Really?
basically ousted by her own brother's scheming.
Oh, man.
And that's where the Roman connection comes in.
Oh, here we go.
Enter Julius Caesar.
Okay, so let's unpack this Roman entanglement.
All right.
So she's in exile, needs to reclaim her throne.
Yep.
And a civil war is brewing in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
What does Cleopatra do?
Well, she sees an opportunity.
Okay.
The civil war between Caesar and Pompey was her chance to kind of play kingmaker. You know, she could position Egypt as a valuable ally to whoever came out on top.
That's smart. But how did she even get close to Caesar? I mean, this is Julius Caesar, one of the most powerful men in the world.
Remember, Cleopatra was fluent in multiple languages.
Oh, right.
And it wasn't just a party trick.
Yeah.
This was serious power move.
Right.
In a world where communication was everything,
Absolutely.
she could negotiate, debate, and strategize with foreign leaders on their own turf.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It's like having a superpower in the ancient world. So how does this language skill factor into her meeting Caesar?
Well, imagine you're Caesar at the height of your power.
Okay.
You're in Alexandria. This young queen who's been ousted from her own kingdom needs your help.
Okay.
And she shows up, how do I put this? Rolled up in a rug,
What?
smuggled into the palace.
Hold on. She was delivered as a gift.
Pretty much.
Talk about a dramatic entrance.
Okay.
I know. You can't make this stuff up.
Sources actually describe this scene. They highlight Cleopatra's boldness and strategic thinking.
Oh, yeah.
It's clear she knew how to make a lasting impression,
For sure.
and it worked.
Well, yeah.
This meeting marked the beginning of their alliance,
Ah.
which quickly evolved into that legendary love affair.
Okay, so the romance is definitely part of the story,
Yeah.
but I'm sensing a but coming.
Well, you're catching on.
Okay.
It's easy to get swept up in the romance.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But let's not forget, Cleopatra was playing 4D chess here.
Oh.
Caesar needed Egypt's resources and strategic location,
Right.
and she needed his military might to regain her throne.
Okay.
This wasn't just a love story. It was a power play.
So the relationship was a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't just some love-struck queen.
Right.
She was using this connection to further her own agenda.
Exactly.
Wow.
And she gave birth to their son, Caesarion.
Okay.
And this wasn't just a matter of the heart.
Right.
It was a strategic move to secure her dynasty's future
What?
and potentially stake a claim on the Roman world for her heir.
That's playing the long game for sure. But Caesar is assassinated, throwing a wrench into her plans. So what happens to Cleopatra after Caesar's death?
This is where she proves she's adaptable.
Okay.
She sets her sights on Mark Antony,
Oh.
another powerful Roman general vying for control,
Okay.
and her grand entrance to meet him was legendary.
Okay, I'm listening.
Picture a lavish barge adorned with gold and silver, sails billowing in the wind.
Oh, right.
Cleopatra dressed as the goddess Aphrodite,
Whoa.
reclining beneath a golden canopy.
Okay, now that's what I call making an entrance.
I know, right?
Sounds like a scene straight out of a movie.
And that's precisely the point.
Okay.
Cleopatra understood the power of image, what we now call soft power.
Oh, interesting.
Associating herself with Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, wasn't just about aesthetics.
Right.
It was a calculated move to project an image of power and allure,
Yeah.
captivating Antony and solidifying her position as the Queen of Egypt.
So she was a master of branding even back then.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And this wasn't just a one-time stunt.
Yeah.
Cleopatra deliberately crafted her image. She even had herself depicted in statues and artwork with the traditional iconography of Isis,
Oh, wow.
one of the most powerful Egyptian goddesses.
Right.
This reinforced her authority in Egypt, but it also projected this powerful image internationally.
So she was using every tool in her arsenal.
Yep.
Alliances, religion, image, and of course her intelligence. But I can't help but wonder, was it all just about power for Cleopatra? Didn't she genuinely care about Egypt?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll explore that further as we kind of delve into her strategies and accomplishments.
Yeah,
But I think it's safe to say Cleopatra was a complex figure,
for sure.
driven by a mix of personal ambition and a genuine desire to preserve her kingdom
Right.
in a world that was increasingly dominated by Rome.
All right, so we've got this brilliant, multilingual, power-playing queen who's skillfully navigating the treacherous waters of Roman politics. But where does this all lead?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because Cleopatra's story isn't just about her rise to power.
Yeah.
It's about the choices she made, the battles she fought,
Right.
and ultimately the legacy she left behind.
Well, I'm hooked. Let's keep diving.
All right.
Okay, so we've got Cleopatra, this brilliant, multilingual queen playing this high-stakes game of Roman politics. She's formed alliances with Caesar and Antony,
Right.
secured some serious wins for Egypt.
Yep.
But as they say, all good things must come to an end.
They do.
What happens to this power couple?
Well, just like with Caesar,
Yeah.
her relationship with Antony wasn't simply a matter of, personal affection.
Yeah.
It was a strategic alliance.
Right.
A way for both Cleopatra and Antony to kind of consolidate their power and influence.
So it was a win-win situation for both of them, at least initially.
Yeah.
Cleopatra needed Antony's military strength to protect Egypt from Roman rivals.
Exactly.
And Antony needed Cleopatra's wealth to fund his own military campaigns.
For sure.
And let's not forget that Cleopatra used this alliance to further her own goals for Egypt.
Right.
She regained lost territories, secured important trade routes, even expanded her kingdom's influence into parts of Syria and Palestine.
It's pretty impressive.
She was really playing the long game here, thinking generations ahead.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm guessing that not everyone in Rome was thrilled about this powerful partnership.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Okay.
The rise of Octavian,
Oh.
Caesar's adopted son,
Okay.
would change everything.
All right.
He saw Antony and Cleopatra as a threat
Okay.
to his own ambitions for power.
So this is where the story takes a dramatic turn.
Yeah,
Octavian versus Antony and Cleopatra.
that's right.
Sounds like a clash of titans.
It really was a clash of empires. A showdown between two visions for the future of the Roman world.
So on one side, you had Antony and Cleopatra, representing this idea of a more diverse, even decentralized
Right.
Roman power structure with Egypt as a key player.
Exactly.
And on the other side, Octavian, who was all about consolidating power back in Rome under his control.
That's right.
So classic power struggle.
Oh, yeah. Octavian was a master of propaganda.
Oh, really?
He painted Antony as a traitor, bewitched by this foreign queen,
Oh, wow.
and Cleopatra as a manipulative temptress who threatened the very foundations of Roman virtue.
It's amazing how history repeats itself.
I know.
Those same tactics of fear and demonization used over and over again to discredit rivals and consolidate power.
It's a timeless playbook, unfortunately.
Yeah. And in this case, it worked.
It did.
Octavian rallied the Roman people to his cause.
Yeah.
And the stage was set for this confrontation that would determine the fate of empires.
That's right.
And this confrontation takes the form of the Battle of Actium, right?
Exactly.
This is a naval battle that would decide the future of Rome and Egypt.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about Actium
Yeah.
is that it was a naval battle,
Okay.
something that traditionally favored Rome.
Right.
But Cleopatra had invested heavily in building up Egypt's fleet,
Okay.
recognizing that control of the seas was essential
Right.
for her ambitions.
So she wasn't just relying on Antony's forces.
Yep.
She was bringing her own firepower to the table.
That's right.
But what happened at Actium?
Well, the exact details are debated,
Okay.
but it seems like a combination of strategic blunders, miscommunication,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even some last-minute betrayals
Wow.
led to Antony and Cleopatra's defeat.
So they lost.
Yeah, at a crucial moment in the battle.
Yeah.
Cleopatra's fleet broke formation and fled,
Really?
followed shortly by Antony's ships.
Wow. That sounds chaotic.
Great.
Was this a pre-planned escape strategy, or did they panic?
That's what historians are still trying to figure out.
Okay.
Some believe it was a planned retreat. Others think it was just a desperate attempt to salvage what they could.
Right.
Either way, it was a turning point. They managed to escape back to Egypt,
Okay.
but the damage was done.
So they lost the battle.
Yeah.
Their forces are scattered.
Mm-hmm.
Octavian's on their tail.
That's right.
What happens next?
They retreat to Alexandria,
Okay.
but Octavian pursues them relentlessly.
Oh, man.
As his forces close in, Antony and Cleopatra find themselves trapped,
Yeah.
their grand ambitions crumbling around them.
Right.
Sources describe Antony's final days as a whirlwind of despair and defiance.
Oh, wow.
He tried to rally his remaining troops,
Okay.
even challenged Octavian to single combat,
Really?
but it was a lost cause.
It must have been a crushing defeat to see everything you've worked for slipping away.
It must have been.
So what about Cleopatra? How does she react to this unfolding tragedy?
Well, this is where we enter the most famous and perhaps most misunderstood part of Cleopatra's story,
Okay.
her death.
Right.
The image of the asp has been romanticized and sensationalized
Oh, yeah.
for centuries.
Yeah.
The beautiful queen choosing a dramatic, even noble end rather than face humiliation
Right.
at the hands of her Roman conqueror.
Yeah, the asp has become synonymous with Cleopatra's death.
Right.
But how much of that story is based on fact and how much is embellishment?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
The truth is we don't know for sure how Cleopatra died.
Okay.
The asp story is primarily based on accounts by Roman historians like Plutarch,
Okay.
who were writing decades after the event
Okay.
and had their own reasons for portraying her in a certain light.
So there's a good chance they might have exaggerated
Oh.
or even invented details to fit their own narrative.
It's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
Some modern historians believe that poisoning, maybe through a concoction of herbs or other substances, is a more likely scenario.
Okay.
Others argue that she might have even used a sharp object concealed in her clothing,
Okay.
choosing a quick and relatively painless death.
So the asp might be more of a symbol than a literal truth.
Exactly.
A symbol of her defiance, her refusal to be captured, and paraded through the streets of Rome as a trophy
Right.
of Octavian's victory.
Yeah, and it's a symbol that has resonated throughout history.
For sure.
It's part of what makes her story so enduringly captivating.
Yeah.
This blend of fact and myth,
Right.
of political intrigue and personal tragedy.
It's fascinating how even her death is shrouded in mystery and debate.
I know.
It really adds to the enigma of Cleopatra.
It does.
But with her death, an era comes to an end, right?
It does.
What happens to Egypt after Cleopatra?
With Cleopatra gone, Egypt falls under Roman rule,
Okay.
becoming a province of this vast and expanding empire.
Wow.
Octavian, later known as Emperor Augustus,
Right.
solidifies his power, ushering in a period of Roman dominance that would last for centuries.
So in the end, Octavian achieves his goal
He does.
of consolidating power.
Yes,
But even in defeat, Cleopatra's story continues, doesn't it?
absolutely.
Her image, her legend lives on.
It does. Her story continues to fascinate and inspire.
Yeah.
Her image has evolved through art, literature.
Right. And eventually film.
From Shakespeare's tragic queen to Elizabeth Taylor's iconic portrayal on the silver screen.
It's true.
Cleopatra has captured our imaginations for over 2,000 years.
It's pretty incredible.
But why?
Yeah, why has she remained such a captivating figure for so long? I think it's because she was a woman who dared to challenge the status quo.
Right.
Who used her intelligence and charisma to navigate a world dominated by men. She was a queen, a diplomat, a mother, a lover.
Yeah.
And while her ambitions ultimately led to her downfall,
Right.
her legacy continues to intrigue and inspire us today.
And even though her story ended in tragedy, she left her mark on history.
She did.
She wasn't just a pawn in the Roman power games.
No, she wasn't.
She was a player, a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And I think that's a powerful message,
Right.
especially for us today.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming odds,
Right.
even when the chips are down, we can still make a difference.
Yeah.
We can still fight for what we believe in. Absolutely.
We can still leave our mark on the world.
That's an inspiring message to take away from Cleopatra's story.
No.
So what can we learn from her life and her choices?
Well, I think one of the key takeaways is that history is rarely straightforward.
Right.
It's a tapestry woven from multiple perspectives, conflicting narratives, and the enduring power of human ambition.
It's a reminder to always question the narratives we're given.
That's right.
To dig deeper, to look for the hidden stories.
Absolutely.
The complexities that make history so fascinating.
Exactly. And to remember that even the most iconic figures like Cleopatra were human beings with their own motivations, their own struggles, and their own triumphs.
So what you're saying is to truly understand history, we need to embrace its messiness. Its contradictions, its shades of gray.
That's exactly right. And I think that's what makes exploring history so rewarding. It's not about memorizing dates and names. It's about grappling with the complexities of the past and recognizing how they continue to shape our present.
All right, so we've journeyed through the life and times of Cleopatra VII.
We have.
From her tumultuous rise to power to her dramatic downfall. We've seen her brilliance, her ambition, her triumphs, and her tragedies. But now it's time to shift gears and explore the enduring legacy of this iconic queen. How has she been portrayed throughout history? Why does she continue to captivate our imaginations even today?
Yes. The legacy of Cleopatra. That's where things get really interesting. Because her story didn't end with her death. It continued to evolve, to be reshaped and reinterpreted over the centuries. And that, I think, is a testament to the enduring power of her image, her story, and her legacy.
Well, I'm definitely ready to dive into that. Let's explore how Cleopatra's image has been transformed, twisted, and celebrated throughout history, and why she continues to fascinate us today.
Sounds good.
So we've explored Cleopatra's life.
We have.
Her political maneuvering. And her dramatic end. But her story doesn't end there.
It doesn't.
Her legacy has been shaped and reshaped over centuries.
For sure.
Why does she still fascinate us today?
Well, it's fascinating how her image has been molded to fit different narratives throughout history. Right after her death, Octavian, who became Emperor Augustus, used propaganda to cement his power. He needed to discredit Antony and justify his conquest of Egypt.
So basically, he spun the story to make himself look good.
Exactly.
Classic political move.
Classic.
So Octavian portrayed Cleopatra as a manipulative seductress. A threat to Roman stability.
A threat to Rome itself.
And this narrative painted Antony as a weak-willed pawn in her game. Someone who betrayed Rome for a foreign queen.
A classic tale.
And this negative portrayal stuck for centuries, right?
Unfortunately, yes. This image of Cleopatra as a cunning temptress became the dominant narrative in Western cultures.
Wow.
Think about it. For centuries, she was seen through the lens of her Roman conquerors.
It's true.
It wasn't until much later that other perspectives started to emerge.
So who challenged this Roman-centric view of Cleopatra?
Well, there are contrasting views even in ancient times.
Oh, really?
For instance, some Muslim scholars viewed her as a scholar and a scientist.
Oh, wow.
A stark contrast to the Western portrayal.
It's amazing how different cultures can have such drastically different interpretations of the same person.
It really is.
It really shows how history is often a matter of perspective.
It really is just a matter of perspective.
And over time, Cleopatra's image continued to evolve.
It did.
Shakespeare's play, Antony and Cleopatra, presented her as a complex and tragic figure caught between love and duty.
That's right.
Later on, Hollywood took over with Elizabeth Taylor's iconic portrayal in the 1963 film, further romanticizing her image.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like she's become this blank canvas onto which different cultures and time periods project their own ideas about power, femininity, and ambition.
I think you're right.
So fascinating.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is how recent scholarship has attempted to move beyond these simplified portrayals and uncover the real Cleopatra.
Okay, so what does the real Cleopatra look like based on these new findings?
Well, modern historians are piecing together a more nuanced picture. They're examining ancient Egyptian sources, reevaluating Roman accounts, and considering her role in the context of Egyptian culture and politics. They're painting a picture of a highly intelligent and capable ruler who was deeply invested in preserving her kingdom's independence.
So she wasn't just a pawn in the Roman power games.
No, she was not.
She was a strategic player who used every tool at her disposal to protect her kingdom.
Exactly.
Wow.
She was a master negotiator, a skilled diplomat, and a shrewd politician who managed to hold on to power in a world dominated by men.
It sounds like she was a woman ahead of her time.
I think so.
And it's amazing how, even after all these centuries, there's still so much we're discovering about her.
I know. It's really amazing. That's the beauty of history.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing conversation.
Totally.
And the more we learn, the more we realize how little we actually know.
So where does this leave us?
Yeah. Where does it leave us?
What's the takeaway from all this?
Well, I think the biggest lesson is that history is never black and white.
Right.
It's complex,
multifaceted,
and constantly being reinterpreted.
Yeah.
We need to be critical thinkers, question the narratives that we're given, and to look for the hidden stories and the diverse perspectives that really enrich our understanding of the past.
So it's not just about memorizing dates and names.
No.
It's about engaging with the past, questioning assumptions, uncovering the complexities that make history so fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cleopatra's story is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
She's been vilified, romanticized, and reinterpreted throughout history.
That's right.
But by digging deeper, by looking beyond the simplistic narratives, we can begin to appreciate the complexities of her life and the enduring power of her legacy.
I think that's a great note to end on.
I agree.
Cleopatra's story reminds us that history is an ongoing conversation.
It is.
A journey of discovery that requires us to question, to explore, and to keep an open mind.
Absolutely.
So the next time you encounter a historical figure, don't just accept the dominant narrative at face value. Dig deeper. Look for the hidden stories. And you might be surprised by what you find.
You never know.
And on that note, we'll leave you to explore the sources for yourself and draw your own conclusions.
Sounds good.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
All right.